This time on the Brothers Mysterium.
We finally have a medium on the show.
She's the person that keeps the family together. This is very important to her. And what I'm being shown is that she's always on the move. She's very fast.
Right, unless you're willing to either deceive yourself or force yourself to see things, you won't. That's not how it should work.
And it makes me feel very lightheaded too. It's almost like, it makes me feel like I'm losing consciousness, so to speak. Can you understand that?
Mm-hmm.
Why do I feel this? It almost feels like something tight around my neck. Can you understand that as well?
Yep.
My brother and I have always been intrigued by the unexplainable. Like many, we're fascinated with stories of the supernatural, fringe science, and modern-day mysteries.
Though we've seen no first-hand proof of its existence, our minds remain open to the possibility.
Unsatisfied with the so-called evidence on television and the internet, we are choosing to take matters into our own hands and conduct our own interviews and research.
Now we're on a quest to speak with as many people as we can and hear the stories of these events from those who have lived them.
No Hollywood effects or exaggerations, and no hidden agenda. We invite you to listen and decide what and who you believe.
We are the Brothers Mysterium.
Hello and welcome to the Brothers Mysterium. My name is Tommy. Riding shotgun is my brother Eric.
Ayo.
And on today's episode, highly anticipated, we finally have a medium on the show. It's something we had talked about very early on. Some of our medium episodes with Bert, we always said it's great to have secondhand accounts of people's experiences with mediums, but we need our own firsthand accounts just to help us judge for ourselves, and we were able to finally make that happen. But before we do that, I'm going to go on a little bit of a rant right now because the quest to find a medium to be on the show was by no means easy.
No, not at all.
And the reluctancy of everybody, their negative attitudes really made me more of a skeptic about them. One particular incident was a girl I know was like, you got to talk to this medium. She's great. She changed my life. She's amazing. I was like, yeah, send her our website, thebrothersmysterium.com, send her our podcast, and, let us know if she's interested. So like 20 minutes later, this girl sent me a message back and she's like, oh, she's not sure if she wants to do it because you guys have so many posts bashing and debunking mediums.
Not true.
Not true at all. And I said, what posts? And I went and looked through our page, even though I run the page, and I knew they weren't there. I said, we have nothing like that. I said, we have episodes with Bert talking about his time with mediums.
Right.
We're not bashing a medium ever.
We asked the question.
Sure, we want to know about them.
Nothing wrong with that.
And then she said, no, you guys kind of bashed it. And then she said, well, she's saying since you guys are skeptics, your negative energy is going to kind of block her from using her power.
That's the worst. I hate hearing stuff like that. That's like when people say, oh, but if you're not open to ghosts, then you won't see them.
Yes, which I hate because there's nothing else in the natural world or even supernatural world where your belief in it. So let's say I don't believe in magic. If I go and see David Blaine, he's not going to start a trick and then all of these cards are going to fall out of his pants and he goes, well, no, I can't do it. You don't believe.
Right.
He could still do the trick whether I believe or not.
Right.
If I am a good basketball player, which I am, and I say, I can hit this 3-point shot, and you say, I don't believe you, and then I shoot it, I will still make it. Your disbelief in me will not make it impossible for me to hit the shot.
Right.
And so I agree with you on that.
It's so convenient because it's like,
it's like saying cop-out.
Right. Unless you're willing to either deceive yourself or force yourself to see things, you won't. That's not how it should work.
I 100% agree. And the other thing I hated was she didn't even, and this just applies to life, not mediums, she didn't even look at our Facebook page fully. She didn't even listen to one episode before she said, no, I can't do it. If someone offers you something in anything, take a little time, do your own research, listen to it. Then you can say, oh, this show's not for me. oh, I don't like your style, or, oh, this is pretty cool, we can work on something. It was literally like 20, 25 minutes after I said, okay, reach out to her on our behalf, that she was like, no, you guys bashed Medium, she did this, she did that. She didn't even listen to an episode or even a segment of an episode,
right?
Which is a little insulting to me.
And also, I become highly suspicious of people who immediately become defensive.
Oh, yeah, of course. And like you, I mean, we had just said, it's like, annoys me because she said we don't believe in it, which we do. If we didn't believe in it, we would not want a medium on the show. We would not have done 4 or 5 episodes on them or talk about them.
Right. And I'll be honest here, say this, we paid for it. I wouldn't be willing to pay for the experience if I was 100%, I don't know.
If we didn't believe it, it's like, I don't believe in Santa. Sorry, kids. So we're not going to have Santa on the show.
Right.
Because it's why waste our time in something we don't believe in or care about. So that kind of really put me off. And there was a lot of people like that. It was very hard to track somebody down. And then what a lot of people said to me, as I was asking them, do you know a medium? Do you use a medium? Would you be able to talk to the medium and maybe through a personal connection, they'd be on the show? A lot of people said, don't tell them that it's for a podcast, secretly record them, don't let them know, or ask to record it, but just say it's for personal use and then use it. But we're not about that. We're not trying to trick anyone. We're not trying to deceive anyone. This isn't like gotcha journalism.
Right.
And along that same line, a lot of mediums and other people were like, well, they don't want to prove anything. Why would they do that? And I have said and continue to say, we're not asking for anything other than a pure, straight up reading. Whatever you would do normally, do it. We will record it. We will then comment on it, reflect on it.
Right.
We're not going to trick you. We're not going to come in and say, who are my dead grandparents? Prove you have a power. We're not going to come in and go, can you tell me about my dead son? And then they tell me, and then I go, I never had a son. I have no kids, you idiot.
The old Houdini move.
Exactly. That's not what we're about. That's not what we're trying to do. So it was definitely frustrating trying to just find a medium who would be willing to come on the show in general. More a challenge, I think, than I even thought it would be.
Definitely.
I was able to find a medium. I'm not going to say their name, but I was able to talk to a medium via Skype, and we had a great interview. And then at the end, it ended with a reading. And basically, in like the last 5 minutes, the computer crashed that was recording. Well, the program crashed. So I lost everything. I was really pissed off because it was like this great 45-minute conversation with some great answers. And then at the end, I got a reading, kind of a brief reading, but it was very interesting.
Still, at that point, so hungry for reading that even this little 5-minute,
right.
It was something.
It sucked. And the interview was great too. But I did then, after that happened, I immediately recorded what was said just so I wouldn't forget it. And this is that recording. Okay, so of all the paranormal things to happen, or just straight up Murphy's Law, where if something can go wrong, it will, while doing my interview with, at a crucial point, the recording cut out and the thing crashed and I lost what we had just discussed, which of course was, I said to her, hey, not to put you on the spot, can you read me? Are you able to get anything? Is anything coming through? So she was like, oh, I didn't have it kind of switched on. Give me a minute here. So she flicked the switch, so to say. We kind of just sat there. And then she started reading me. And the first thing she said was, there's getting kind of a female presence around you. So I was like, okay, could be. And then she said, it's somebody maternally. She said even more grandmotherly. And then she said, it doesn't have to necessarily be your grandmother, but somebody in that kind of grandmotherly, matronly role. So I said, that makes sense, and there's a couple possible suspects. Then she explained, which we've heard many people say, where, I'm seeing her kind of as she was, not as when she passed, but seeing her in her younger days. She said she's kind of seeing this blonde hair, long blonde hair. And I was kind of like, okay, that could be a couple other people. We're kind of narrowing down the possible targets we're dealing with here. And then next she said, I'm seeing this person younger, healthier than they were. Maybe they used to have glasses at the end of their life. They didn't now, which again is kind of a recurring thing we've heard many times on the show. And she said when she passed, she was ready to go and she wasn't in pain. So not to say that it wasn't painful, but maybe she was on meds and stuff like that. She wasn't at least feeling the pain, but she was kind of ready to go. And at this point, I was kind of zeroed in on who this could be. Then she said, I'm getting a first name starting with M, which could then apply to someone else. So I was a little confused. It kind of makes sense, but kind of not. And it's at this point, it's like I could kind of take it and run with it to either side. The M name means it's one specific person, but the blonde hair doesn't match that. It does on the other side. There's an M last name, so there's pieces to the puzzle, but it is not super clear, and it's kind of open-ended. I mean, I could kind of try to force and say, well, these things apply except for this, or these and that one doesn't. So I don't know, but I figured I would record this right away, immediately after, just so I had a record of it, because time fades, as do memories, and I'm going to go write a poem about that. But I just figured I'd lay this down now for future use on the show. Rock and roll. So props to me for doing that. My first thought is I can't believe I don't sound more pissed off, because I was so effing annoyed that had crashed and I lost this great interview and the reading. As I said, it's sort of, I was thinking it could be 3 women, then kind of think it's maybe 1 woman, but the M would be her last name if it's who I think it is. So it was an interesting reading, but it was definitely had the vagueness to it where it's kind of on me to connect these dots in whichever way I see them. I don't know if it's always that way. It's the first time I've ever had a medium read me. But, I mean, some of the stuff did fall in line, so it was interesting nonetheless. What are your thoughts on that little snippet of what was my reading?
Obviously, it reminds me a lot of my reading. At least, I mean, that was more your thoughts on it, as you were going through
Yeah,
it.
well, the reading itself was lost to the sands of time.
It's that standard kind of like, it's always the letter and the sex and the gender.
Yeah, the
and,
motherly role thing.
Right, and like you start flipping through your Rolodex, and eventually you'll find someone who somewhat fits that, description. I have to say, even though I sound skeptical now, and if you listen back to the Medium episodes, I did say I was skeptical in those. Didn't bash anyone, though. I did go into my reading with a very open mind and definitely eager and excited. Even to the point where the medium tells me to like shut up. Like,
oh, you were overly talking?
She's like, "Don't tell me anything," like.
Yeah.
And I don't know. I gotta say, like, it's one of those things for me. Like, I can be skeptical when I'm sitting in my living room or when I'm, sitting up, messing around my computer or whatever. But once you go to a place, or once you see a medium, or once you're in a situation, I know my skepticism. I don't want to call it suspension of disbelief because it's not even really that. But it's almost like in that moment, I'm open completely, and almost maybe more to the other side.
Right. Yeah, I mean, like it's easy to sit there and listen to Bert tell his story and say, like, well, you're an idiot for believing this, but that makes sense. But yeah, even when she was saying this stuff to me, I'm not sitting there going, well, I'm thinking, okay, wait, this could be her or maybe her. Okay, well, that eliminates them, but this makes sense.
Right.
So anyway, as you can guess, continued the hunt to find a medium. A friend of mine put us in touch with a woman, Rhonda, who was willing to come on the show. We told her, we're down to pay you. We just want to have you do a standard reading, read us, and we'll record it. And she said, that's awesome. And we were very stoked about that. We set up an initial time, and then that fell through, so it had to be rescheduled. So unfortunately, I was not present when it happened, which kind of sucks. But in a way, it worked out good because I had a reading over Skype via a distance, as Bert was read over the phone on occasion. You got to have a face-to-face one.
Yeah.
But before we go back, neither of us have listened to this.
No, not
at the time of us recording our thoughts right now. We will listen, and then in the close of this, have our thoughts. But so from my perspective, I was pissed off that I was missing this after spending so long and such a battle to set it up. I was glad at least you would be present for it.
Mm-hmm.
And then what happened was you called me, and I was at work, and you were weirdly excited about it. And you were
Right,
like,
exactly.
wow, it was crazy. She really did do it. She said this. She said, well, first actually you called and you're like, or you texted me something like, oh, it went pretty good, man. And I'm like, what the hell is that, man? I've been waiting weeks for you to get this medium reading and you give me a generic text. So then
Is
I
that
called
how I
you.
sound in your text messages?
Yeah, of course.
Oh, man.
So then I called you and was like, what the hell does that mean? And then you were, I was surprised at how enthusiastic and impressed you sounded at the time. And I guess it was right after she left. So
Right.
It must have been fresh in your mind.
No, definitely it was. And I don't want to say too much because I want people to go into it with a fresh mind.
Well, then
But
let's go into it and then we'll
Yeah.
discuss after because I'm excited to listen to it because I have not listened to it
Right.
myself. So.
I have not listened to this. I was, obviously I was there when it was recorded, but since then I have not played back a single second of this. And it's, so yeah.
And I'm wondering as well if this will change your mind, as you just said, instead of, us listening to Bert or someone else tell us, now you're getting to listen. And this time you are now listening to your own self. So when you were sitting there experiencing it, I'm sure it's different than now months later.
Right.
You
And I've
listening to it from an outside standpoint and having
Sure.
time to process it all.
Right. I've definitely contemplated this since then. I don't remember every detail, but I remember the bigger things that happened, and I've thought about them, and I self-reflected, as it were, and
Self-reflected.
yes, and thought about what my thought process was at the time and things like that. But again, we'll get to that. So here is the recording I did with Rhonda, the medium. That's the first time I ever introduced something.
Hey, you earned it.
This cut-in may seem kind of out of sequence, but when we did the intro, I hadn't listened back to the reading at all. And in the segment that follows the reading, in which Tommy and I kind of wrap up, I had listened to the reading only once. But while I'm recording this little footnote, I've now listened to the episode innumerable times during the editing process. And now that I've heard it over and over and over again, a thought occurs to me, which kind of sums up the point of this episode, and which definitely supports what Tommy and I were saying about us not going into this with the mindset of debunking mediumship in some overly cynical way. Nor is it to accuse anyone of being a fraud or a scammer or whatever else. So as you listen, rather than putting your focus into whether or not the medium is correct or wrong, try to put your attention on me and what I do with what she tells me. Because I think the real point of this episode, and what listeners can take away from it, is really self-analysis, and what the individual mind does when presented with information. I mean, hypothetically, Rhonda could be 100% correct in reporting what she's receiving from the spirit world. But that doesn't mean I actually know any of the people who come through. I could be dead wrong. My ability to interpret the data and then eagerly attach it to someone whom I once knew could be way off. Or maybe I'm also spot on. That's what you have to decide. So, again, instead of hearing this as a challenge of mediumship for the medium, try to view it as a challenge of mediumship for the intended recipient, me. Okay, let's get to it.
Here, where would you like?
Is a chair over here? Okay.
Oh, okay, sure.
Yeah. I mean, do you need a minute before you get started or anything?
Yeah.
Sure. Do you,
I'd like to. I guess I'll just
need a
do.
water? That's pretty good.
that. Thank you so much.
Rhonda, the medium that appears in this episode, headed over to my house in the early afternoon.
It took like an
After getting settled, we sat in my living room, where I had 2 chairs, a coffee table, 2 dynamic mics, and 2 condenser mics, and also my iPad, all recording. Based off what happened to Tommy, I didn't want to risk losing the recording.
Now I'm gonna let you know I have my phone set for 45 minutes. I
Sure.
may stop before that and give you an opportunity to ask questions.
Okay.
Okay.
So, after setting her timer, Rhonda gives me a quick breakdown of how she usually operates.
All right. So let me explain to you a little bit how I work. One of the things that they do is they show me pictures. So it's kind of like playing charades. And what I mean by then is loved ones, guides, they come through and they give me pictures and they show me body language, so to speak, and then I have to interpret what it is that I'm seeing.
Okay.
So how can I explain this? So they might show me, that they're covering their ear for some reason. So I will tell you that they're covering their ear. What does that mean? I'm not sure, but we will figure it out. Okay.
Right. Okay.
Let me see. So
As part of my own preparation for the reading, I gathered some artifacts that are associated with some of my own family and friends that are now dead. I had a few pictures of Aunt W, who, if you're new to the show, was kind of a next-door surrogate grandmother for Tommy and I as we were growing up. She passed in 2011. I also had my grandfather's baseball cap, which he wore right up until the end, when he passed in 2015.
Oh yeah, that'll work. Yeah, but let me see what comes through first, and then I'll see what the what the pictures what's going to happen with them. So, all my messages are one of love and light, so you don't have to worry about anything. I don't see if people are going to die. Thank God. I don't want to.
Yeah, that'd be a little bit of a burden. Definitely.
So that is not anything that I'm interested in. When I say they, it's our spirit guides, our angels, and our loved ones that help me do this.
Okay.
I'm trying to think of what else I feel like I'm leaving stuff out, but it doesn't really matter.
So, then Rhonda said in opening prayer,
I pray that I would speak messages of love, encouragement, inspiration, and empowerment, that I would see, hear, feel, know, smell, taste, whatever it requires to get the message. Thank you so much for being here with Eric. I ask that our loved ones, our guides, and our angels enter the room.
and after a brief pause, we pretty much jumped right in.
One of the things that I first connect when I connect with you, Eric, is I get this sense of being a part of things from you. So I'm not sure what this actually means, but it almost feels like that it's either a situation that you're involved in now, but you feel like you're separated for some reason. I'm getting the feeling from you as well that I feel like you are in a group by yourself, so to speak. So it's not like I feel it's very hard for you to reach out for some reason. So there must be something where you feel like you're separate and not necessarily part of something, that you're far away. Do you understand that?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Definitely.
Okay. All right. So I'm not sure who's showing me this. We'll see.
In total, Rhonda picks up on 3 spirits throughout the reading whom she believes to be connected to me. It didn't take long for the first spirit to make himself known.
Now I have to ask you this before I even, for the past few days I've been getting a gentleman that was in the military. Do you have someone in the that would be connected to you that's in the military?
Alive word.
I'm hoping that he's dead.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, and what I'm feeling, I feel a little bit of anxiety as well. So I'm not sure if this is connected with this gentleman, but I feel like I have like a tightness. It's in the chest area, and I also feel like it's in my throat. Like I feel like it's being constricted in some kind of way. Now, it's almost like I feel like I have to take my necklace off. It's a little overwhelming. And one of the things that this is the body language that I'm being shown by this gentleman. He uses his hands a lot to speak. So it's almost like he points to the left and he points to the right. And I'm not sure what this is about, but it feels like I understand he's in the military, but it feels like there's an importance of organization. Because really when he shows me his body language too, he's very erect with the way he holds himself. So he makes me feel like I feel like this is a little bit more also about his personality as well.
Okay.
So with his personality, he gives me this sense of that he couldn't sit straight enough. Like this is always something with his body language, and this is important to him on how he presents himself. So he gives me this feeling of, let me see. And also, too, the way he speaks, he doesn't just like, he doesn't have this way about, he thinks about everything before it comes out of his mouth. So his personality, too, is he's not just quick to say something, but when he says something, it has meaning. Do you understand what that means?
A little bit. I mean, how much do you want me to?
One of the things how we could work well together is when I say to you, "Do you understand that?" You could say yes, because I can continue with that energy.
Okay.
You don't have to tell me anything. Like I don't want to have a conversation with you.
Okay.
Because I want them to tell me. I don't want you to have to tell me.
Sure. Okay.
So okay. But do you understand this gentleman?
I believe so.
Okay, so we want to make sure that you and I understand who it is that we're talking about. Okay. And I hope that you know him well enough, because sometimes that has happened where somebody comes through.
Of him.
Oh, so you don't have.
Well, we never met.
Okay, so that's
it. Tell you, or my grandfather on my mother's side, I never met him.
Oh,
he was in the military.
Oh my.
He's Italian, probably uses his hands a lot.
Yes.
So
but very. He gives me the idea of himself being very confident and sure of himself.
And that could be. I mean,
you said you don't know.
Yeah. But I do know he smoked a lot.
Okay, well, don't go tell me that stuff.
Okay, sorry. I'm getting excited, so.
Yeah, we don't want. Okay. So.
I'll try and calm myself.
But he does. I wish you had. All right. So you don't know him. He showed me that he does a lot of thinking, and also too, family is very important. And in other words, how people perceive him is very important as well. Like in other words, how the outside world looks at who he is. It's very important to him. So it's his status also that makes me feel that's important to him. Okay. So since we're not real sure, I want him, he's going to give me information. I know you didn't know him that well. This is the gentleman that's coming through to give information for you. Okay. So he also tells me that the month of April is significant. Do you understand the month of April? And if not, it's okay?
No.
Okay, that's fine.
Yes.
You may not understand how this is significant.
Okay.
Let me go back into this a little bit more. I'm also seeing that either the ocean is significant or connected with him, or a beach in some kind of way. Or this could be something that's associated with you. So I'm not sure what that's about, but let me get more information. And do you know what what was your grandfather's name, so I can connect with him?
Nicholas.
Nicholas, thank you. So I want him to give me more information. Now he's been with me for a couple days, so there must be something with this.
It's at this point that things shift gears a little, and spirit number 2 speaks up.
Okay, so there's also a woman that's with you that comes through. She feels like she could be mom or grandmother. She's the person that keeps the family together. This is very important to her. And what I'm being shown is that she's always on the move. She's very fast. And I mean, with the way this could be someone who's an aunt, or it's a female energy that's with you. And she's very dramatic.
Okay.
So when she talks, everything, and she gives me also the sense that she's another one that maybe have a Italian heritage, because she talks a lot with her hands, and she does this. Now I'm not sure what this means, but she does this, like she's very dramatic, and everything gets blown out of proportion. She doesn't stay on, she's having a conversation, she talks about more than one thing. It's like kind of hard to bring this woman back down. Can you understand this?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. And what I mean by bring her back down, she starts talking, it's like me right now, the energy gets elevated, and you can't, she brings up everything, and you're like, okay, let's stick to one conversation here, because she goes a little bit above and beyond with these conversations. And it's like, okay, bring it down. Tell me what this is really about. And you can bring her back. You have to talk her down, calm her down, because everything she does is big and out of proportion. She's a bit larger than life, this woman too. She has a lot of energy, and she comes through the only way I can explain it is larger than life. Do you understand that?
I think so.
Okay, so I want more information so we know we're talking about the same one. She also shows me that I feel like I see her in the kitchen a lot. I see her in the kitchen a lot. That's the favorite part of the house. That's where a lot of stuff takes place. She's also the type of woman, she's having a conversation with you. She stops what she's doing, she sits down, and she has a conversation. And she's so interesting too, because I also feel like even though she's an older woman, she's very connected to modern day things. It's like she knows what's going on. You can have a conversation, and you don't have to feel like with her that she's in the know. She knows what's going on. She'll tell you, oh, I know what you teenagers are doing today. I know, she knows everything that's going on. So let me get and connect with her a little bit more. She says things exactly the way she feels. In other words, when she she doesn't hold back from her conversation. She's very real with her words, and she's not afraid to say what it is that she needs to say. And she's very much about giving advice. That's another thing that she shows me. She's very much, that's important to her. Very opposite from the way that she was raised. I feel like the way she had some craziness that goes on in her family during her time that she was raised, and this is kind of sort of how she shows me that she was through trauma when she was younger. There's trauma in her life. Can you understand that as well?
No.
Okay.
I may not have been aware of it. Yeah. Sorry.
No, don't be sorry. Okay, so... All right. So I want to see in reference to you. I see one in particular is one woman that's more closer to her, and I feel like this woman has passed too. I feel like there's 3 people that are connected, and it feels like there's 2 boys and a female that's connected with her. And I feel like for some reason the 2 boys feel like they're kind of on the outside, but there's one woman that she feels more closer to her.
So these are 3 separate people.
There's 3 separate people, but she's showing me a female that's, for some reason, she feels like she has to bring closer to her, which makes me feel like she has to be closer or protected to her. And then I see 2 males on the outside, so to speak. And I feel like, okay, so I don't quite understand this. Need more information. She also shows me that she's sitting in a chair by herself, and it's very cushy. It's like, looks like that, but it has 2 arms. So it's like a recliner or like a lounge chair that she shows me. And it's kind of like when I see her sit down, she has to kind of collect herself. She has to breathe, because why does she do this? It feels like there's a lot of stuff that's either going on and connected to her that's kind of a little crazy, and it's a little out of whack. So it's almost like she has to collect herself, so to speak. So all right, so I need more information, because I need to know who this is, because I feel like this is in reference to you. Is this grandmom?
No.
Or aunt?
It's aunt, but not biological.
Okay,
So
that's
I refer
fine.
to as aunt.
Perfect, but she feels like she's a family member. It's not just...
Yeah, pretty much like a surrogate grandmother.
Okay, perfect. That's why she makes me... She has the grandmother energy. She's she's very loving, but she's very on the know too. Do you understand that? Like, she's not like, doesn't know. It's not like she sits back and she has no clue. Like, oh, I don't know what's going on. She's very hip. Like, she understands stuff. Like, she knows what's going on. Okay, so thank you. I feel like it's validated now, because she's given me that grandma energy, but I couldn't quite figure out where this was in reference to you.
Okay.
So let me tell you, the reason why I feel like it's almost like she shows me this body language, because it feels like there's stuff that's going on. She makes me feel like there seems to be a lot of separation in your family. Can you understand that as well?
Yes.
Okay, so it makes me feel like there's distance, there's separation, and there's distance. Can you understand that as well?
Yes.
Okay, perfect. You're giving me this eye. What does that mean?
No. I don't want to say too much.
That's fine, but okay, great. So I need more information from her. I want to make sure this is the same person. There's sadness that's connected with her too, and that's in reference to her. And she makes me feel like there's something that while she was alive, not necessarily now, but it makes me feel like there's something that goes on that she feels very sad. And it's almost like it's heartbreaking. Can you understand that as well?
Yes.
Okay. And this is the reason why she also has to sit down, because it's everything that's around her feels very overwhelming. And I feel also too, there's a disconnect. Can you understand that as well?
Yes.
Okay. So it feels like things are going on around her and things are moving very quickly. And it's almost like she feels like she's being pulled away from that. Can you understand that?
Yes.
Okay, perfect. So I'm not sure what this means, but that's how she's making me feel. Like it feels like she gets further and further away to what is going on over here. It feels like this is the world that's taking place, and she's being removed from it in some kind of way. Can you understand that?
Definitely.
Okay.
Yeah.
And it's almost like she feels like she gets smaller. I'm not sure why but I can't wait for you to tell me what this is about. But she makes me feel like things become smaller, and also too, I feel like it's either with her hearing or that she gives me the sense of like there's an eerie kind of silence that surrounds her too. It's almost like she's being separated from something, so I'm not sure what this means, but this is connected with her as well. So it feels very disconnected. I just have to tell you that's okay. So now, and what is her name?
So in regards to what you're currently hearing, the person that I most closely associated with the description that Rhonda's giving me would be Aunt W. And as I mentioned before the reading began, I have pictures of her on the table next to me during all of this.
Now I'm seeing ocean again, beach or ocean that's connected. There's a lot of water that's connected with you. So I'm not sure why she's showing me this. So I'm just going to go ahead and I feel like driving, like it feels like moving away from or driving away from. And so I get this picture of like it being behind you, like lake or ocean or beach being behind you, and you're moving away from it. Okay, so I'm going to just continue to go with that because I'm not sure what that means, but I need more information.
Sure.
And also too, she's showing me that you don't give yourself an opportunity to just be in the moment. So let me see what this is about. She's telling me, like I'm talking fast, and she's telling you that you need to take a break. Okay, so this is important, that you need to take a break. And you feel like she's also shown me that you're going. You feel like there's something that you need to accomplish, but you don't even necessarily know what it is, but you have this feeling that I need to accomplish something. I'm heading in a direction. I'm not sure where I'm going, but I know I got to keep moving forward. Can you understand that as well?
Yeah.
Okay.
Rhonda continues by passing along information she's receiving from Aunt W, all which deals with me personally, and a need for personal healing, going easier on myself, and also how many of my ideas and goals are going unfulfilled because I'm working against myself. I omitted this section in the final edit because in the end, the information didn't really provide much knowledge about the other side, and nor would I say it was accurate in terms of describing my life at the time. But anyway, Rhonda does a quick time check.
Do you have any? Let me see what time it is. Oh, okay, great. We're making great time. So, okay.
And now, enter spirit number 3.
I also feel that there is somebody who feels like he's either a brother or a friend connected with you that has passed. Can you understand that? And I feel like, and the reason why I say brother or friend is because it almost feels like this is someone who would be younger. So it's, I'm going to tell a bit more. And I also feel with this person, they feel like they felt that they were a little lost, or they didn't necessarily fit in. Can you understand that?
No.
This feels like a male, and it feels like somebody who would be, all right, so I'm going to this. There's a lot of, I want to say depression or sadness that's connected with him, because he gives me the sense that nothing is ever going his way, that he feels very lost and very misunderstood as well.
Okay. Yeah, it's starting to make a little more sense.
And so it feels like he feels very alone too. He felt very alone in this lifetime is what it meant. And he feels very not supported in any kind of way, like almost like he doesn't understand why he was put here. He feels like there's not very many people that he can relate to. Do you understand that as well?
Is this current or someone who passed?
I feel the emotion of him being very sad.
Okay.
So it's unfortunately I'm having a hard time distinguishing between, because there's a lot of depression with him. Mm-hmm. He also feels like he's lighter to me, as in color.
Okay. Yeah.
So it's okay. So let me connect with him a little bit more. I'm not sure. I really don't know. I can't tell whether. All I know is that I'm feeling this energy coming from this younger male, and that he doesn't feel like he has a place in the world, so to speak.
Okay.
So do you understand that as well?
Yes.
Okay. I'm trying to see if he's passed. All right. I'm going to continue. I also feel too that he has like this it's almost like I feel like there's an unbalance with him. It makes me feel that he either has like some kind of emotional disorder or some kind of mental disorder, where he feels like at one moment he's like, okay, I got this, I feel really good, and I feel like it gives me the sense of being bipolar, because it gives me this unbalanced feeling that's connected with him. And it's almost like, hey, I got this, this can work, and then all of a sudden it's like, where'd he go? What's going on with him? I'm not hearing from him. So this feels like this is somebody who's alive, actually. He feels very stunted in age as well. That's another thing that's connected with him. So he's a very, very immature. Even though he may have been a particular age or is a particular age, he also makes me feel like he's very immature, because he didn't really necessarily have a lot of support around him. He doesn't even know. I also feel like connected with him, he's not even sure. He feels very lost in life. So he has his moments. Like I said, I feel like when I connect with him, it's like things are good, this could be done, and then all of a sudden it's the opposite. So, and I don't feel as necessarily that he has the control over this either. This feels like it's more something with him having an imbalance of some sort. Okay. And I don't know why, but he's pointing to his chin or his lip. So I'm not sure what this is about, but I feel like it also gives me that impression that it must be hard for him to make decisions, because it's almost like the body language of somebody really having to think hard about something. Like it requires a lot of thought process for him to make his decisions, and it's uncomfortable, and it's like it gets very overwhelming very, very quickly. And extreme, like, gonna do this, gonna do that. Okay. Is this person alive or dead?
I'm going between two possible
okay. All right.
Here.
So if they're dead, then I want them to show me two candidates.
Okay.
I want specifics. Okay. So. Okay. No reason why I would think to. There's a female that's connected with him. I believe he has a sister.
Okay, neither of them had sisters.
Well, this is a female that's younger that's connected with him. And I feel like, I feel as if she would be younger than him.
No.
No? Okay, let me go into this a little bit further. All right, so there is this. Why did I feel separation between them? I want to stay with this because I need more information. Now, it could be that his mother is not necessarily like a mother, because it feels like to me that there's this influence of this female that's with him that I feel like for some reason he feels like he has to be protective, but yet there's a connection with a female that's with him, and I feel she doesn't feel like a mom. She feels more like a sister, but I feel that she's also too very immature for her age. She gives me the sense of when I connect with her that the way she was raised, it's almost like it's kind of been passed on down the line, so to speak. So she's in a position where she must have had him at a young age, or she's feeling like she's overwhelmed as well. This is this woman that's connected with him. And it just feels like family or home life is not necessarily the best. And I think that this has something to do with the way he feels like he's not connected. Can you understand that? Okay.
Not very specifically.
Okay, very good. I'm going to go ahead with it anyway. So I need more information. Can I get, if you would pass, let me see. So I feel also too, there's a passing that feels very destructive. And it feels very quick to me too. So with his passing, he gives me the sense of being it's very fast. His passing, there's something that happens very quickly with him. It either feels like this would be it feels like either a car accident where there's something that's quick that happens. Does he take us? He doesn't show me anything to do with drugs. So I feel like there's a passing that's with him. Can you understand a car accident or something that happens quickly with him?
Not a car accident, but possibly something quickly.
This is something this is very fast. It's almost like one moment and then all of a sudden, like it's weird, but I hear like it sounds like, you know, the sound of like a horn, like you hear, like it's almost like something with it that's connected that happens fast, and it's like from one moment to the next, and then it's quick and it's over. I need more information. I also feel like something was beginning to start with him too. Like there's something that was either going to happen that was like, I feel like it's almost like there was something that was going to be happening that was going to be a change for him or something that's different. It makes me feel like when you're starting school. So it feels like to me that there's something that's going to be starting that's connected with him. That's almost like something to look forward to. Can you understand that as well?
No.
And it could be actually the month of September that there's connected with him.
Okay.
So so that, you know, like how school begins in September. So it's like, gives me the sense that there's something new or something that's going to take place, and it gives me it's connect with him the month of September. So this is that feeling. So I want to see something. What else? I feel like I'm struggling with him. Why do I feel like I'm struggling? And I also feel something in the throat area.
Of course, at that moment.
I don't know if that's who this is connected with, but I feel something in this once again.
Our timer goes off, but thankfully, Rhonda overlooked this and stuck with the reading.
So, what's the deal with this? Like, why aren't I getting these really? I need more. And it makes me feel very lightheaded too. It's almost like, it makes me feel like I'm losing consciousness, so to speak. Can you understand that? Mm-hmm. Why do I feel this? It almost feels like something tight around my neck. Can you understand that as well?
Yep.
And there's loss of consciousness because he shows me that just things go black. But this happens very quickly. This is not something. It makes me feel like he was hung or something. That's the kind of feeling that it gives me. Do you understand that?
Yes.
I'm so sorry. Sometimes it gets a little overwhelming. And it's very, I have to tell you, there's a lot of peace that's connected with him. Because now he gives me this sense of peace. Okay. Let me see. you two had a very good, he enjoyed your sense of humor. There's this sense of that you get it, you got it.
Right.
And he's very pal-like with you. And I want it, because it feels like he kind of brushes up against you, like, you get it, you understand, and it's almost like you get the joke too.
Right.
Like you understand this.
Yeah.
But you have to know he's in a good place. Okay.
I know this probably feels like a bad place to cut the reading, but Tommy and I wanted to save the explanations for our follow-up conversation. From this point out, Rhonda and I just kind of chatted about the reading and mediumship in general. Things ended on a lighter note as I showed her the photos I had collected for the reading. We poked fun at my inability to smile as a youth.
It's you.
Yeah. My happy face there. Yeah.
Oh my God.
Took me a while to
funny.
have smiling pictures, but I finally got it down, so.
That's awesome. Yeah, I can see you working towards it.
Yeah. Slow progress. Yeah.
That's awesome. Well, one thing I didn't tell you in the beginning was just because someone doesn't come through doesn't mean that they're not with you.
Right. Yeah.
It just means that there was no reason for them to come through.
Right.
So if you ever, maybe you go to somebody else and then he might be the first person to come through.
Right.
But you never know.
Yeah.
So.
Interesting.
So I think that's about it. I think. Did you
cool.
have any more questions? Yeah. So.
So I mean, you would consider yourself to be a psychic medium then too?
Yes.
Okay.
Mm-hmm,
Okay.
Yeah. Whatever. Like I brought my psychic bag. I use cards, feathers, ribbons, buttons. It doesn't. It's the gift and the intuition. It's not the tool. They're just tools.
Okay.
Because I read cards and everything. So I do. I kind of like do it all. I'm the jack of all trades when it comes to that.
And do you have reoccurring clients that you see?
I do have reoccurring clients. I wouldn't say that I see them like. One person had told me that you shouldn't really see somebody unless you see them like 6 months later. Right. I let that person decide when they want to see me again.
Okay.
So I do go back to someone, and usually because I have a whole new set of problems.
Right.
And usually when that happens, it's because it's more of a psychic thing. It's not necessarily that they want to talk to someone who's passed.
Right.
Because they need to get advice, so to speak, in where they're headed or what's going on. They need clarity. Mm-hmm. So what happens is, that's how I usually read cards too. Like I usually bring out cards and I'll do past, present, and future. So that you know that I'm not full of shit. And I'm not BSing. I tell you about what happened in the past so that I could connect to what's going on with you presently, so that if the next card is the future card, you have a really strong idea that I'm actually seeing what's going to happen in the future.
Yeah.
Right. So,
okay, cool. And probably you being in the know, you understand that, but I'm sure people on the outside kind of think of them as two different things almost.
Yeah.
So,
and it is. Mediumship is different than psychic.
Right.
I was once told that not all psychics are mediums, but all mediums are psychic.
Okay.
So if you can do the mediumship, you can do the psychic. But just because you could be psychic doesn't necessarily mean you can talk to dead people.
Okay, cool.
Yeah. But I leave myself open to whatever needs to be done.
Awesome.
Because it's about you.
Right. Cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's it?
Yeah.
All right. Awesome.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
The Brothers Mysterium.
All right, so first and foremost, once again, a big thank you to Rhonda for being cool enough to agree to come on the show, be a part of it, give you a straight up reading. As we said, you didn't make her prove anything, you didn't test her, you didn't lie to her. If anything, you spoke too much.
I did.
But that's all right. And the first thing I noticed and noted right away was she was like, I can't guarantee anyone will come through, which, if you recall, is a question I had when we started our medium series. If anybody's ever shown up, paid, sat down, and then for like 40 minutes they just stare at each other and they're like, sorry, man, nobody likes you, or nobody's coming through today, or I'm having an off day.
Right. See, that's the weird thing, though, is you may not even know it, because
the way the process kind of worked was she would provide, or any medium for this matter, provides information, female, this letter, this kind of personality. And like I said earlier, you will kind of go through your Rolodex of people in your life, and eventually you'll kind of find someone that fits that. And without the specifics, it's hard to tell. You know what I'm saying?
So you're taking the skeptic side of it in a way that they will always throw out letters or personality traits. Like I'm saying, what if you went into a medium?
Well, that's the thing, is like
you sat down, that medium was just like, sorry,
Right.
I got nobody.
Okay, but it works either way, because it could be a skeptic thing where it's she's just giving you very vague information, or how would she know if you knew this person or not? You know what I'm saying?
Like kind of. Here's what I'm saying.
I know exactly what you're saying. Nobody sorry, not getting anybody. You're talking like completely dead air.
Right. Like they don't even throw out anything. They're just like, nobody came through for you.
Okay. What I'm saying is, like, say someone I never met, like some guy on the other side of the world, his grandpa decides to come through.
Oh, and like
she's like, I'm getting a guy who's like this. So in my mind,
you're trying to, okay.
Right.
So you're saying more of the crossed telephone wires.
right. But how would either of us know that when the information is so, I'm
Right.
obviously thinking of people in my life, and she's going off this vague information she has about this person that's coming through, or it could be.
Yeah. And that's, I remember I did ask that, and we talked about it with Bert when I said, what if after she left you, she went and met somebody and they were like, I'm trying to connect with my father. He was a military man. He passed. He would always show up 4 days early.
Oh, shit. Yeah.
And then she would say, oh, that's who that guy was, which it's hard to tell when dealing with spirits. But some spirits did come through. The first of which I am going to venture to guess was our mother's father.
Indeed. That's who I was thinking of also.
Now, unfortunately, neither of us knew him very well.
Never met him.
At all. Did I ever meet him?
Nope.
Okay.
He died the same year our parents were married, actually.
Of what? Lung cancer?
Indeed, which goes back to what she was saying about the chest.
The chest, the throat.
The throat, right. But I feel like that's also, okay, well, playing devil's advocate at the same time here, that's also a common one that you hear.
Yeah, well, I think there's so much in your chest. It could be heart failure. It could be your lungs.
Right.
There's
all your
a lot
vital
of
organs are there. Yeah.
So that's kind of a spot. It would basically be, there's some things that I was trying, like talking with the hands. He is Italian.
Right.
He's kind of quiet from what I know of him. So maybe, when he didn't speak much, but he'd think about it. When he did, it meant something. The ocean, the beach connection, which was sort of a connection with you that kept coming back, but also him. Like,
but I don't know how it would relate to him.
Well, he loved to fish all the time and stuff. I don't know if he would go to the beach or if he would just go to a lake. But again, that could just be me guessing what we're
did he
going.
Fish? Do you know that for a fact?
I absolutely know that for a fact. He used to bring Mom fishing with him. She would take like napkins and stuff and dress the fish and name them.
That's right.
But what we will do is go to Mother Mysterium, who I guarantee you will not be recorded, but we can report back because we should ask her about all these traits of, family was important to him, which I would say that's kind of a safe guess about anybody, but
yeah.
He cared about how people perceived him, cared about his status, a connection to April. He was very organized. He was he was in the military.
He definitely was.
He was a military man with straight posture and all that. But we should definitely let her listen or hit her with these traits and see if they check out, because we would be purely speculating.
Sure. As far as I know, Tommy's not psychic, but his prediction was correct. Mother Mysterium refused to be recorded for the show. She did, however, inform me that the month of April isn't really significant in her father's life at all. He was born on July 19th, and he died on December 29th. According to her, he also wasn't the kind of guy that was overly concerned with his image. He was actually extremely laid back. And according to her, a description of him as being the kind of person who couldn't stand straight enough, or was kind of militaristic in his attitude, and kind of, people always felt they had to be very proper in front of him. That wasn't true either.
But we both agree that that was our suspect for the number one male coming through.
Indeed.
Second person to come through, I was kind of on the fence for a while. What really sold me was the comfy chair.
Right.
Which I would say that is none other than the infamous
Aunt W.
Indubitably.
Now, here's the thing, though. A lot of the things that were said prior to that comfy chair thing about Well, I mean, maybe she did have a big personality.
Yeah, energy, personality. She's dramatic. She was a grandmother or aunt, which kind of fits.
And here's the other thing. It also depends which part of her life you're referring to. Because when we were younger, she was definitely much more active and like...
Well, she was definitely like in the know. She was cool
hip.
with
She would
shows,
she'd
toys.
play wrestling with us, like with the action figures, and do
She
like
would
the comment.
commentate.
Exactly, she knew the moves.
No bars hold was one of my favorite calls from her.
Right. Now, okay, so the comfy chair, which, yeah, there was definitely a recliner, and she spent a lot of her time in that recliner, particularly after her husband, Uncle W, passed away. And I remember every time, probably since that point where we hung out, she was in that chair and we'd watch action movies together, which is another thing you want to talk about, like hip, like with Aunt F, I'd go over there and we would watch, movies from like the 50s and things like that.
Right.
Aunt W was always throwing on like the latest action movie, explosions, all that kind of stuff.
And then obviously the very close with her sister and two males made me think about Aunt F as her sister, and they married two brothers.
Right.
Would she necessarily be closer with her sister than her own husband? I guess technically, because they grew up together. But there was, Rhonda did say she was definitely closer with the female, and there was two males kind of on the outside. I guess that could be because she's blood related to Aunt F.
They also
them.
passed away first, the two brothers.
Yeah, that could be the
and
separation.
they lived together then, just the two of them.
She did spend time in the kitchen, though. I wouldn't say that she loved it.
Well, that's the thing, is before Uncle W passed away,
She was always in the kitchen and she watched TV in the kitchen.
That was her spot, and that's where we would hang out with her.
Yeah, that's true.
When Uncle W was watching TV at night, we didn't really go in that area because we didn't want to bother him. We'd hang in the kitchen with her.
He was kind of a grump.
He was definitely a grump.
Do you have a connection to a beach or an ocean
I mean,
that
we
you're aware of?
used to go to Long Island when we were younger. That's the only thing I can think of.
Do you think you need to slow down, live more in the moment? Are you avoiding or running from something?
No. A lot of the things...
Do you have to take a break? Was there a separation with a male figure in your life that has lingering effect on you that you're aware of?
Nope. A lot of things, listening back, and this is interesting. Well, before we get to that, I want to say one more thing about Aunt W, actually, because there was the comment where she said the world is moving around her and she feels like she's just like sedentary.
Yeah.
At the end of her life, she was pretty much housebound and would have caretakers coming in and out all the time. And she would complain to me about these people. Sometimes when they were there, people would be coming over and going through her stuff and hiding mail from her because they didn't want her to look at catalogs. So they didn't want to. So like a lot of people kind of like took her life over, and she definitely was resentful of that.
Do you have a big idea? Did you have a change in September? You had just moved, or you're about to move?
Right.
You already owned a house. There's
Right.
a lot of stuff kind of thrown at you rapid fire. What can you do? You like to have your hand held? Do you need to be pushed or pulled sometimes? What can you tell us? How accurate was that? And also, you seem to say yes to a lot of things.
Right.
And then observing as we listened, you seem to be confused as to you saying yes a lot. So
Right.
give us some insight in all of that.
So I did hear myself saying yes a lot in the recording, and as I was sitting here thinking about it, I couldn't for the life of me think of what I was giving an affirmation to. Like, I don't know why I said yes. So I think that suggests that at that time when I was in the moment, I think I was pretty much grabbing everything she said because I was like, oh, this is cool. This is great. Yeah, sure. That makes sense. And now looking back, it's not like I'm even like, no, that just wasn't true. I don't even know. I have no clue what I was referring to when I said yes.
Another point that you had made early on that you probably have already forgotten, even though I told you to write it down to bring it up, was the fact that she used your name a lot. Rhonda,
I have that
saying
written down.
Eric a lot. Okay.
Well, she only actually said it twice in the beginning, but after that, she really didn't say it.
So you were thinking that she was going to kind of keep using your name to keep you hooked and
I
create
thought
personal
so.
connection, but she did not do that.
She did not do that. No, she did not use my name all that often.
Okay, so
And now the third and final person steps in.
this was another interesting one because Rhonda herself admitted she was having a hard time zeroing in on if this person was alive or dead.
Right.
We both assume it is the same person. We will call him Carrie, our male friend who unfortunately did commit suicide.
I got to say, she did backpedal a lot there. She said like alive, and then she's like, I think I made a face, or I don't know what indication I gave her, but she's kind of like, ooh, and then she kind of switches it.
What I found interesting here was, I think she started off by saying it's almost like a brother energy or something. And then later it was like more of a pal, liked your sense of humor. He definitely was depressed. I know he did not get along with his mom.
Right.
We were both friends with him through a mutual friend, as you mentioned. To me, it's almost the type of thing. And I remember now thinking back to our phone call, you were like, wow, she really touched on Carrie. She said that he had hung himself and the throat tightening and stuff, and that had really blown you away. And I remember at that time thinking like, oh, that's interesting, but like, why would he come through out of everyone that you know who's passed on and stuff? And like, I mean, I think he was a good friend. He like did me a lot of solids. I still owe him. I never got to repay him, unfortunately.
Right.
But I don't know. I mean, I guess you can't control who comes through, though.
Right, exactly. And
maybe it's the brother line. It's throwing me off. Like, you guys weren't brothers.
No, we weren't. But then I thought like maybe it was a connection through B, as we'll call him, who was the mutual friend who would always call Tom and I his brothers.
Yeah. So,
and would call everyone pretty much brothers, you know.
Yeah, he would call everybody his brother. But
the thing is, it was like, and that's kind of what I think like the relationship was with Carrie. Was like any friend of B's or any brother of B's is like a brother of ours, kind of. That only went so far because a lot of his friends were kind of scumbags.
Yep. Well,
but he was probably the one who wasn't Carrie. So
yeah, he was a great guy, and he was a good dude who did a lot.
Yeah. So I mean, we weren't that close, but I don't know.
Yeah, and she did get there. It was a fast passing, but like you said, there was sort of a lot of back and forth, and then eventually went to like, my throat's tightening, I'm losing consciousness, I'm blacking out. It was sort of a slow build into hanging, which is that because he's slowly revealing the information? Is that because you're giving cues?
I will say this, in my mind, while that was happening, I was saying, say that he hung himself. Say that he hung himself. Like I wanted her to get there. So
she got there.
Right. Now, was I too leading?
Were you whispering out loud?
No. You'd hear that in the recording if I was.
Just kidding.
No, but I mean, like, so. Yeah, I don't know, because she said destructive, and like listening back, like, and she even said it could have been a car accident.
Right. Well, yeah, she said it like it was sudden. It was
September is connected to him. His birthday was in September, and she said. She made the analogy of school coming up, like there was something like he wanted to avoid, kind of.
She was saying like a fresh start, like school starting.
Right. So, I mean, he killed himself in August, and his birthday was in September. He would have been 23, which I think most people graduate college at 22?
Yeah, about that.
So that's the thing I was thinking is like now, and I don't
want to face the real world or whatever.
Yeah.
But overall, I'm going to say that as we've sort of dissected this, it seems like the accuracy was pretty good as far as us being able to connect this to people and the traits matching up with those individuals. I'm somewhat impressed, but also I wonder if that same reading was given to someone else, if they would be able to match it up to individuals as well. Maybe we can experiment with that. But again, I wasn't really there. I can't weigh in as much as you. Well, we didn't talk about it before. So what were your thoughts as soon as it ended and Rhonda walked out? What were your thoughts then? And then if you could share your thoughts now, having for the first time just listened back, and then we've gone through it all. So Rhonda gives you a reading. You say thank you. She leaves. Before you text me, what are you thinking?
So I would say, like I said, I was excited going into it. And it was kind of an interesting experience because here's someone who is, talking about these things that are, not super personal, but somewhat personal.
One thing I will say on that point of it being like personal was it was weird to me when she started saying Aunt W's name and she was like, well, Aunt W wants you to know this. And part of me was sort of like, you don't know Aunt W. Who are you trying to trick?
That's exactly how I felt. Yeah.
So it was weird.
That's what I said back in the past Medium episodes, where it's like, people hijacking the voices of your relatives potentially, if it's not true. But like I said, I was excited going into it, and then you're alone. I was alone in the house. with this lady I had never met who was saying these things. And I'm going back through my mind through all these memories of people I know who have died, how they died potentially, things like that. And when you get a couple hits, I think like afterwards, I was kind of like, wow, almost like a high from it afterwards, sort of. But now listening back, I don't feel that. I will say, in anticipation of listening to it, I didn't expect there to be as many things that she had gotten correct as she did. Like some of the things about Carrie, like the birthday month and stuff like that. That was pretty like, okay, yeah, that's kind of interesting that all those things came together like that. But at the same time, just in general with mediums, I will say, why is it always birthdays, how they died?
See, but what I did like was she never really said like, I'm getting a name that starts with the letter M.
No, she didn't.
I'm getting a J, which I was kind of glad she never tried to do that.
Yeah, she stayed away from that, which is good. To her credit, definitely.
And now let me ask you this.
Sure.
Before listening back, when I had talked to you on the phone and stuff, would you say in your mind, were you like, she was 99% right? Or did you only remember the good, the direct hits?
No.
Okay, because I know we've come across that before where people remember the right circumstances.
I will say this, okay, to be completely realistic and self-reflecting, Self-reflecting. I was excited from it, and it was cool, and it was fun, but in the back of my mind, a part of me was still like, but don't get too excited because it wasn't that good. You know what I'm saying?
So it didn't blow your mind.
No, I was excited by it, and it was fun and all this, but at the same time, I wasn't like some of those people you see after those readings, and I know like James Randi has gone back through transcripts of these people's experiences, and it turns out that what they remember is not exactly how it happened.
Right.
I wasn't like that. I wasn't like, wow, she nailed everything right on the head and things like that. I think I was just more, I don't know. And part of it too is like, I was the same way when I was at the Lizzie Borden house. Part of it too is doing things for the show is fun. Like,
oh yeah.
Like that's like, I was like, I posted a picture on our Instagram of the setup I did. Like that was all fun for me too.
At Mysterium Bros.
Right. Yeah. Instagram.com. Do you even say that? No. Instagram app.
Nope. Just go to Instagram app.
I'm new to the smartphone world. Instagram app at Mysterium Bros. Yeah. So, I mean, like I was very like excited. Just like when I went to Lizzie Borden house, I was hanging out the window of my wife's car with a camera out filming the house. And she's like, get back on that car, things like that.
So it's more the thrill of doing it than the actual outcome.
I think
what
so.
You're trying to say?
I think so. And not that I'm saying, I think where I am after the reading is exactly where I was when we first recorded the Mediums episode. I am still hungry for more, but not convinced 100 completely. I'm still 50-50.
Well, we will hopefully have more mediums on the show in the future. It was awesome that this is a season 1 promise that we made that we would get a medium on the show. We want to thank Rhonda so much for being cool enough to...
She made a long drive.
She made the drive. She made it happen. She let us record it. She let us use it on the show. And she was very, very good at her reading. So want to thank her. We want to thank you for listening to us. If you like us, please take a second, rate and review us on your podcast provider. If you have a story, you want to get in touch with us about a medium or anything else, you can email us at thebrothersmysterium@gmail.com. As we said, we're on Instagram and Twitter at Mysterium Bros. And if you want to listen to old episodes, contact us. Do anything else, just go to thebrothersmysterium.com.
Word.